Democrats completely control the state capitol right now, and Governor Polis laid out a 70-minute-long wish list in his State of the State address today. He focused in large part on housing affordability and limiting tax rates. Full disclosure, the Polis administration's precondition to sit down with the governor and ask him questions about his policies after was that we also had to interview pre-selected supporters of the governor on a topic of the administration's choice. We declined to do that. So instead, politics guy Marshall Zellinger caught up with the governor for some quick questions about his priorities at a later event.
As we think about the future, we also have to think about how we can make Colorado safer.
Toward the end of Democratic Governor Polis's State of the State address, he brought up crime, which was one of, if not the top issue during his re-election campaign. In that section, he talked about wanting to expand the state's red flag law to allow district attorneys to petition for an extreme risk protection order, which allows a judge to temporarily take weapons from someone deemed a threat to themselves or others. He also talked about cracking down on ghost guns, homemade untraceable guns, but no reference to the soon-to-be introduced bill that would define what assault weapons are and make them illegal, which I asked him about in a news conference after his speech. You co-sponsored an assault weapons ban of 2018 while in Congress. Do you no longer support that idea?
Well, Marshall, I think that there's a lot that we should do federally.
While not specifically answering the question, he talked instead about universal background checks that exist in Colorado, but not, say, Wyoming, where someone from Colorado can buy a gun in a private sale and not have to go through a background check.
I do think, as a nation, we need to do more. There's limits to what states can do.
When asked about a state assault weapon ban by the Colorado Sun, he was a little more specific.
We specifically, looking at the data, believe that extreme risk protection order can work better. Last year, we also worked together to send every tax filer $750, nearly a year ahead of schedule.
His speech also included a reference to our Tabor refund, which is mandated by state law. I asked Polis about the proposal that lawmakers could put on the November ballot seeking permission to keep future state Tabor refunds for education. Do you support the effort to give up Tabor refunds for education purposes?
Well, I think the real question is that something the voters of Colorado support? It sounds similar to a proposition that recently failed a few years ago in the state of Colorado.
That's a reference to Proposition CC, which failed in 2019 and would have funded education and roads. He did say what he would rather see done with Tabor refunds.
If we have a budget surplus, it means that our taxes are too high, so we should simply reduce our taxes.
One other big area he talked about is making school districts whole. This goes to what I said yesterday. When local property taxes do not provide 100% of what school districts expect, the state is supposed to backfill it, but recently, well, for ages now, the state doesn't do 100%, and because it can't do 100%, it does this multiplication across all 178 school districts to proportionally reduce what they give them. He says we're going to get to 100%, but it relies on a strong economy, maybe a mild recession, but I didn't hear the details of, like, where is that money over time so that it's always going to be 100% for school districts.
So what always happens when the legislature is in session is the governor, whoever it is going to send signals about bills they want to see, bills that they don't want to see. Based on what he told you about a ban on so-called assault weapons, he's saying, don't bring that to my desk. I mean, he's pretty clear. He's not into that no matter what Democrats think.
Between me and Jesse Paul from the Colorado Sun and that one soundbite where he said our study shows that extreme risk protection orders work better, is that saying we're doing this, don't do that? I mean, that could be the underlying. I don't think that's going to stop the bill from going forward.
Sure. And then the question becomes, do Democrats have enough votes for a ban on so-called assault weapons to overcome a governor's veto? That's a far harder task than simply getting it passed. All right, Marshall, thank you.